Hi there, everyone. Welcome to A Slice of Life with Kelly and John. Today we have a guest who we have spoken to before, Veronique Ory. She does yoga with Veronique, and she wrote a book called Shine On and Off the Mat. And everything she's done, it's almost been serendipitous, right? It just seems like everything you've done is just you're following a path and it's just growing and you're reaching more people and helping more people. So tell us what happened with your Shine program.
And I think this is really important to highlight, and thank you to both of you for having me back on the show. It's such a treat. John and I go way back to our LA days, and so it's always wonderful to reconnect. So the seed of all of it, I think we can relate to the wanting to bring people together. And so we each have our pathway to do that. And so for me, I started with theater and starting my own nonprofit theater company back when I was 22 years old, living in LA,
Wow.
wanting to create opportunities for myself and for others and bring artists together. And the way that the storytelling has emerged has been allowing for the self-inquiry journey to be through a yoga lens. And really what that means is mindfulness. So I think a lot of people think in the West, like, oh, okay, I have to put on stretchy pants and get on a yoga mat and assume shapes with the body. And that's part of it. But what I really love to highlight is yoga practice in all that we do, right? So as we're in this conversation, we're hopefully being present with one another, right? We're in the breath, we're in the attentiveness, and we can find that with our kids, with our partners, with our family. And so what I really want to highlight is how do we connect in a way that allows each one of us to feel vibrant, where we wake up and we're energetic, where we feel refreshed and rejuvenated. And so that looks very different to each of us. And so the intention between the stories and the themes that I offer is that each person can find their own pathway to that so that we start to shed the overwhelm and the busyness and the have tos and the shoulds. And it's like, okay, what do I actually want to do? And so one of the filters that I've been running everything through is this a full body yes for me? Right? Like, does it light me up? Does it make me feel inspired? And so a lot of things have come through that lens where I decided, you know what? I really want to let go of this idea that vacation or trips is something that you do just once a year. Like you save up and it's like, okay, like here's like the one trip you do. This is like a very sort of typical American way, right?
Right.
And usually that's reserved for like, okay, well, I got to go see the family, wherever they are if you've moved away. And so what I've really oriented towards, and I think this is so important to highlight of what it is that we prioritize is how we orient. So it's not that we don't have the time or the money, it's actually that it's not a priority. Because if it were a priority, we move mountains to make things
Right.
happen that matter to us. And so, what I really love to encourage, especially now when we're in this era of hyper comfort, right? If you live in the suburbs or like a place where you can set the temperature to exactly what you want in your home or your car, or you have a refrigerator and you could eat around the clock, like these different comforts that actually are very foreign to how our ancestors emerged. And when we seek to find discomfort on purpose, then we help to regulate the nervous system and we allow for ways to acclimate. This is why there's been like a rise on intermittent fasting, on ice bath and sauna and different therapies like that, which you don't have to do any of it, but rather it's more awakening to how it is we're living by default and how it is we wish to live by design. And so, really, what it is just kind of being your own ophthalmologist. Like, do you want to see through this lens or this lens? And just being in the inquiry, the examination of, is this thought true? Do I want it to be true? Or is it an opinion? Is it like an old program that I'm running? And am I like restricting myself with these like old fashioned limiting beliefs And maybe it's like, oh, like actually, that's my mother, or like that's a teacher that I had, like the voice that's in the head. And it's like, I don't actually think that. And how freeing is it that I don't think that, and that I can actually move through in a way that feels lighter and brighter. And so that's really the ethos of Shine, is like that we each are able to come to that examination of what it is that lights us up and orient that direction so that work doesn't feel hard. Like I don't say like I'm going to work. I say I guide, I teach. It's regenerative. Like in the offering is the receiving. And so more and more it's like, okay, if something is feeling heavy, like how can I implement a sense of yoga to it? So oftentimes, and this is why my yoga playlists are public on Spotify. A lot of my clients love to listen to it as they're walking their dog, they're on their commute, they're emptying the dishwasher, they're folding the laundry, whatever the thing is, so that we let go of the have tos and we really orient around to I get to. And so it's a different kind of energy, right? If you're folding your laundry and you're like vibing to music versus like, I'm going to do this really quick before I do the next thing, right? Like, what if the meditation was folding the laundry, where like I'm rolling this up, like my future self is going to be so happy that I like put this away so tidy and organized. And then like that static, it doesn't have power over us, right? When we're really nourishing ourselves in every sense of the word. That's a lot, but all of that is to say is like it's all under that, where I'm orienting around that kind of practice for myself personally. And then I really encourage my clients in our one-on-one private sessions, on retreats, through my book, and now through my membership platform, which is really activating these practices where we can connect in community, because we have this technology where, I mean, I was on a 3 hour call with a girlfriend in Germany who I hadn't spoken to in a while. And while I'm on the phone with her, I have my, Bluetooth headphones on. Sometimes I'm like moving around. I'm like, oh, I'm going to empty the dishwasher. And then, oh, I'm going to go over here. You know what? I'm going to like reorganize where my plants are. Actually, I'm going to water the plants, right? And that's part of the practice where we can use the connection and be in movement some way. At no time did I roll out my yoga mat. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I really want to make it accessible for people, that it doesn't have to be this way, because sometimes it feels like, oh, that doesn't resonate for me. And so just really wanting to highlight like, okay, what does resonate for you? And like, what's the movement, mind, body, and spirit that you want to orient? And so I give like a potpourri of ways that you can connect, whether it be a guided meditation, the music, some guided movement or stretching, where you can listen to it and let it permeate in a way that resonates. And I think like the mind meals are really helpful, because we're addictive beings by nature, right? So it's like, what's the thought that we want to chew on? Like what actually feels like we can metabolize something in a way that feels holistically helpful. So I I orient through that direction, and I think it's been really helpful for people to move through that in that way, because then when we're in the curiosity, we let go of that sort of judgment space. So there's this trifecta that I really tend to highlight a lot, is when we're looking at expectations, judgments, and comparison, if we can let expectation, judgment, and comparison go to the side, like what are we left with? And then if that's to the side, we're liberated to live that much lighter and brighter.
I love how you word that. I love how you put that. When I was younger, I was very controlling. I thought if I control everything, everything will go the way I want it. And then I remember one thing in particular. I'll try not to cry. My little dog, I thought I had prepared for every possible safety issue ever. And I would put her in the car and I wouldn't tie her up because I heard a dog's getting, or I wouldn't leash her in, and the dog's getting, hanging themselves or whatever. And came back to the car one day and she jumped out and ran and got hit by a car and died. And I that one thing just, yeah, it just changed. I started changing my perception of life and the way I do things. And shouldn't have brought this up, but yeah, I realized I can't control everything. Things are going to happen, and I have to roll with them when they happen because I thought I was so overly protective, and I probably am even more so now, maybe with my dog. But I really, was trying to just control life, and you
Yeah.
can't. And letting go, in that incident and everything that came after it has I just embrace everything. Whatever happens, I make the best of it. If I have every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, this is really depressing. I don't like that this is going on. But I don't dwell in it. I don't live in it because what good is that going to do? I've never been that kind of person that dwells on negativity, but I did try to control things. And I think changing your perception is how it's freeing because
It really,
you know what? Whatever happens, happens. I can't control what other people do. I can't control how
yeah.
they treat me. I can control my reactions, but I can't control what's going to happen, anything.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. The control piece, I feel like us fellow type A'ers, we magnet together.
mm,
It's like, oh, if I just, create the list in the spreadsheet and I get like really organized, then like this is what safety looks like. And what we learn as we get older, it's like, oh, actually, like this is rigid and anxiety inducing. And so it's like you can set an intention, you can create a plan. And what I really love about the surrender practice, it's not like hands up, I'm not doing anything. It's
right.
it's actually you plant the seed and you trust that the soil will enrich, in the metaphor, but of all the seeds that we plant in terms of business or relationship or otherwise, that if it's meant to flourish, it will. And when we let go of the timeline of how that's going to unfold, actually something really magical happens where it's like, I think of it like the universe is dancing with us. And it's like all the magic that's swirling around, when we let go of like forcing timelines and agenda and like making things happen, that was definitely like the entirety of my career in theater, where I was forcing things to happen because I was so scared not to be doing something, because in the emptiness, that's really vulnerable and it feels very empty. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like, I have a lot of friends where it's like, okay, I'm running out the door. Let me just do this one extra thing really quick. And then I'm like rushing, and then I'm always like 5 minutes late. And it's like this almost like hurried, self induced urgencies that we're in all the time, whether we're in an urban environment or not. We just have that fire if we're like tuned into that dial, which I think is really admirable, right? It's like these are the entrepreneurs of the world. These are the people that are changing the world. And also it's like, oh, like why would I think that I know better than what is designed for me? And I think this has been like a really huge learning for me personally over these last 4 years in particular, of when I have moved through so much grief and so much loss and change of identity and living environment. And basically, like the entire landscape of my life has changed, where I've just been bereft, like grief in my bones, like bawling my eyes out. The most abundance has flooded my way because there's been a clearing, right? And we hear this all the time, like, like you're never going to call in your soulmate if you're holding on to the toxic relationship. You're never going to have the house of your dreams if you're still accepting money from a family member. There needs to be a clearing for the manifestation to show up. That's just the law of the universe. And so in that loss, I think we've been all in this collective season of loss. 2025 has been just grueling for many of us. Aptly, it's the year of the snake. And so, constantly it's like, oh, right, we're shedding significantly. I feel like every time I go on Facebook, someone is announcing a loss of a loved one. And it's like, right? It's like, like, is everyone dying this year? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And so when I think about that, it's like, oh, like actually, because we live, we will die. And I had a journal prompt come up last week. I've been slowly going through this guided journal, and, you know, cosmic wink, the journal prompt was write your own obituary. And I think it's actually a really potent exercise I encourage everyone to do because it really highlights like what is the legacy that you want to leave? What is the imprint you wish to have on the world, on the lives that you touch? And it's a reorientation because then like all of like the trivial like the energy leaks that are happening through the day, it's like, oh, actually like delete these things off of the list. They're not in alignment with where I'm meant to be guiding or be guided through. And so that's where I've been in the meditation. And then particularly this week, and this is, I love that you mentioned the perspective shift, Kelly. So through my book, I have unique themes. And I asked one of our members to choose the theme for this week because it really is a choose your own adventure. You could close the book and sort of like the page that wants you chooses you. And she chose the theme shift perspective. And I think it's so important because we can get so kind of gripping on like this is bad or like I don't like this or like I'm uncomfortable. And it's like maybe, but what if we let go of labeling anything good or bad and everything just simply was? Because then it lessens the suffering around it of like needing to kind of put it in a box and hold it. And I love the orientation of shifting the perspective because then it allows for another way of thinking to emerge. And um, and then I think like it shifts away from like any kind of like fear orientation to more of that compassionate understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how you see things and how well, you were talking about being organized. I'm very organized. I have lists, I have plans. I was telling my sister on the phone the other day, I said, well, I have a plan. But as I've learned throughout life, the universe doesn't always cooperate with my plans. But I have a plan, and that makes me feel good because I'd feel lost, floating. But I have a plan, but I have backup plans, and
Yeah.
I am flexible, and I've lived so many places and done so many jobs and had just such an awesome life because of flexibility.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people, they plan one thing. This is what I'm going to do with my life. This is where I'm going to live. I'm going to marry this person. And then when it falls through, they're just devastated. And I can't say that I haven't been devastated at times when things have fallen through. But I've also learned that every single time, no matter what, I'm going to just pick myself up, change course, change how I look at things and change my plan. And that is such a resilience is such a good skill that takes development. I mean, I had to develop the resilience that I have now. But it's really helpful in, yeah, your mindset is so important, so important.
Hmm.
Okay, now I'm gonna finally say something uh, about you use this term that you teach in blue zones.
Hmm.
I don't know what a
Yeah,
blue
what is
zone
that?
is.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. So blue zones are coined as places where there's the most amount of centenarians per capita in the world, and they were circled on a map in blue, and so they
Okay.
they were coined blue zones. And does anyone want to guess where they are? It's actually probably not a fair guessing game,
In the
but
East,
there's
Middle East, or Far East, China, like Taiwan.
no.
Where? Where?
So Loma Linda, California.
Oh.
Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Ikaria, Greece, and the Guanacaste area in Costa Rica.
Huh. So they're all spread in different places throughout the world. And is there a thread through like how they all do?
Wait. I'm not, and this, I'm sorry for asking this. Costa Rica, what side of the equator is that on? North or south?
It's south, I believe.
Okay. Only because I think all the other ones that you
Or
had
wait.
mentioned
Mm-hmm.
were north of the equator, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah. Um, yeah. And what's so fascinating and what I love about them being in different parts of the world is it's like I think for a lot of us we think, okay, like what's the diet? What's the protocol? What's the thing that I should do?
Right. And
And so
Costa Rica is north of the equator.
it is north. Yeah.
So we
Thank
all
you for
know.
looking that up. Yeah, I was thinking so
Just
be,
barely.
because we're so bio individual, right? Just like where we've come from, what we need, the epigenetics, right? Like how our social life has impacted what it is that we desire. I've learned like the health of each person, depending on what culture they're from and all of these factors, it really it's quite simple, right? It's like eating food of the earth, avoiding processed foods, refined sugars. It's slowing down. So in each of these places, that's been consistent. People are preparing food intergenerationally. They're sitting down, they're enjoying. They're not like shoving a slice of pizza like on their way to the next thing, like eating at their desk or like responding to emails as they're like, shoveling food down their throats. No judgment. Like we've all
Yeah,
been there.
every day.
However, right, I think it's so important to witness, okay, if I'm able to do one thing at a time, right? It's like then we're more aware of how it is that we're nourishing ourselves overall. So the movement in social context, so like maybe it's gardening together or it's going for a walk together where we're connecting in community and we're in movement. And then universally there's a connection to faith or trust in some way, which isn't necessarily needing to be a religion, though in Loma Linda it's the Seventh Day Adventists, and they very much take Saturdays as a Sabbath completely off. And in fact, if you go to Loma Linda on a Saturday, you're hard pressed to find shops that are open. A lot of people just are completely closed, which feels very foreign to many of us to
Right.
have one
I'm like, what do
complete.
they do?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm
If
not
somebody gave me
mistaken,
just like a day off to do nothing, I don't know what I'd do with myself.
if
Well,
I,
it's so interesting that you say that because a lot of people like given that as an opportunity feel lost at sea. If they
Yeah.
were eating by themselves without a device in front of them, like phone, computer, television, would be like, well, what do I do? What do I look at? What do
Right.
I and it's like, okay, like one of my favorite things to do is I do like mason jar meals. I take my dog out into the backyard and I'm eating with my feet on the ground. I'm like looking out to the preserve. I'm casting my eyes as far as I can see because believe it or not, I'm on screens a lot of the time because I teach virtually. I do a lot of podcast interviews. And so it's really important for me to be outside every chance that I get. If you're in a northern hemisphere, there's certainly ways that you can break up with your screen inside of your home, or if you want to take yourself to a museum or take in some art or creativity somehow, be with music. It's such a powerful antidote to overwhelm is to sidestep the busyness and create for the sake of creating or be an art in some kind that really inspires you somehow. And then the other thing is connecting to purpose, right? When we're in this like busyness and franticness and it's like this like I, me, my kind of universe, it's very difficult to break through anxiety or panic or overwhelm. But when we connect back to the why it is that we're doing it, so it's for others so that they can fill in the blank, like your mission statement, then the anxiety can't live inside of your body because it's for others. And so that's a really important orientation. And so those are the main things. There's a lot that is individual of each place, but that was what came over as I went through, because I traveled to all five this year in 2025 as a mission. I just wanted to feel that in my body of traveling to all five blue zones, of how that would
Oh,
impact
wow.
my longevity, and not living for the sake of living longer, but having a life well lived. That's different, right? So like the archetype of our grandparents shuffling in slippers, hunched over, rounding, that's gone, right? Like we want to be like shoulders back, like everyone's gonna sit up straighter listening to this. Shoulders back, spine tall. That's the fountain of youth right there, right? So it's really important to attune to that, to break up with the sitting in the chairs. That's probably the most hazardous thing that we're doing as a culture. I really invite, so like some like desk therapy that I offer is like if you have your iPad or a laptop that you can bring on the floor and like have some time where you're belly down on your elbows, or sometimes laying down. If you're listening to a talk, like you could be laying down on your back and stretching. If you're listening to something and you don't necessarily need to be watching this, like you could take us on a walk with you and just put your headphones in and be walking as you're listening to a podcast. That's very therapeutic. So I think there's just different ways that we can weave in the movement, and that's really very much of the Shine mission with my membership, is how do we weave in these practices into the daily rhythm? So as you're waiting for the coffee to brew, or you're brushing your teeth, or you're at the red light, or you're waiting for the train, or like whatever these different things are, like get your face out of your phone
Yeah.
and nourish yourself in a way that's actually long lasting,
Mhm.
right? And I think like it's just dialing up the awareness. This thing is so addictive. It's so easy, like, oh, let me just check this thing. Or like I did this morning. I picked up Facebook, or I opened up Facebook to wish a friend a happy birthday, and then I squirreled, right? It's like, oh, like what's, just like looking at other things. It's like, wait a second, I like came here for a specific purpose. I was actually like just doing that, and then I was going to do something else. And so, I'm not doing this
What's
perfectly.
even worse is when you get on there and then you all of a sudden just start going through something and you forget why you went on in the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
place.
What
Right,
was I
right,
looking
right.
for
To
again? Yeah.
write,
Oh, yeah.
right, to write somebody something, or to, what was that email address they sent me?
Yeah,
I gotta go back on.
yeah.
Well,
I know, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
okay.
That's true.
Okay, maybe we talked about this last time, but these blue zones, do they correspond to any vortexes?
Oh, yeah, we did talk about this last
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually.
Especially
Mm-hmm.
places like Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised. What are the other locations?
Costa Rica, Loma Linda, California, Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa, Japan, and Ikaria, Greece, which is one of the Greek islands.
I would look into each of those places to just go to are there vortexes? And because there's a map.
Oh
And
yeah.
of
Mm-hmm.
course, because they're energy pulses, at least from what I understand them to be.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
often they also change their location or their
Mm-hmm.
intensity from time to time. And only because like within the last year or two, if they say the center of the earth, the core of the earth is now running the opposite direction, which happens every certain number of years, eons.
Mm-hmm.
um and so because of that, I think maybe vortexes might be changing. I do
Mm-hmm.
not know that. Be interesting to see that. But okay, so what is the next trip that you have planned?
I'm going to Brazil.
And is it to do a yoga class?
Well, it's so wild, and I think this is what happens when the portal opens, right? Like when friends know that you love to travel, and one of the silver linings of COVID was I shifted away from teaching in-person classes, and I teach primarily private sessions virtually. A lot of my clients are in New York and they travel a lot as well. And so what's wonderful is I can travel, they can travel, and it's like you just coordinate the time zone. I spent 2 months in Bali at the beginning of the year, and it was so wild. It was like good morning, but it was, evening for me, being 13 hours ahead. And so I am able to, wherever there's Wi-Fi, I can teach from anywhere. And a good friend of mine, he was planning to be in Brazil for the month of December and asked if I wanted to come. And I said, well, actually, I've been wanting to go back to Brazil because my sister, who's not a blood sister, but I call her my sister, she lived with my family for a year as a foreign exchange student when I was 12, 13, and she was 15, 16. And now we're many years older than that.
What part of Brazil?
In Rio.
Oh,
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's and just to your point about the vortexes, John, is I think what's so important about travel is so I keep coming back to like what's the place, the people, and the practices that uplift you, like each individual you. We've all been places where we'll show up and we're like, whoa, like the energy here is like not the thing. And then we've shown up places where it's like, oh my gosh, like Costa Rica is one of those places for me. Every time I go there, I just feel so deeply held, nourished in all of the ways. And one of the ways that shows up for me is I feel like I require very little sleep and food because the place and the people and the practices, they nourish me so well. Whereas when I'm in other places, I feel like, oh, like I'm like ravenous here and I have to like sleep so much more because it's kind of like exhausting. And
yeah.
until you like move to different places, this is why I'm like, get your passport updated, like book a trip. It doesn't have to be so extravagant. In fact, I'm a really big advocate of just get into a moving vehicle and like go an hour outside of your home and just like see a different landscape and just have a refresh. Even better to be unplugged for that adventure and really explore something new, because the more that we do that, it's like you're kind of refining the dial of what it is that you value. And one of the things that I've learned through my travels of Blue Zones, because I've booked different kinds of accommodations, is I actually feel most grounded when I don't have to get into a moving vehicle. So if I can be in a place and it's like feet to the ground, meaning like from where I'm staying, I can walk out the door and it's like a very pedestrian friendly area where there's cafes and places to explore. I can walk to some kind of body of water, whether it be the ocean or the sea. Whereas some people might think like, oh, I'd actually feel more grounded, like in a mountainous area, or actually I would like to be in a city and where it's like more kind of like vibrant and things are happening. So, as you're listening and watching this, it's like, just kind of explore that for yourself of where it is that you want to be. And if you're not sure, you could just spin a globe and just start traveling. And there's really great resources to travel in a way that's really budget friendly and really accessible. And you can orient, like, if so this is where I get like a little bit Scorpio with people. It's like, okay, if you tell me that you don't have the time and the money for this and it's a value, like, give me a call. We'll look at your calendar together. Like, we'll make a plan. I'm very happy to sit down and make that happen, because I think the more that we're each doing that, then that uplifts the collective.
I'm not a traveler. I'm sitting here going, I don't know. Part of it is I never like to leave my dog. I'm always afraid to leave her alone. I'm afraid to leave her with someone else. I'll be a nervous wreck the whole time if I leave her. And if I bring
Hmm.
her, then I have to leave her in a hotel room, and then I feel bad about that. And so, and I've just never been a traveler, but
Mm,
I've lived a lot of places. And I have
yeah.
found my home. Like I find like I like this place. I belong here.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so I have to give myself a little bit of credit for that. But yeah, I'm not a traveler. But yeah, you stirred my curiosity now.
Yeah. I will say, so I've heard that from people. And if you're content where you are, then stay. But if there's a part of you that feels like you're in unrest, if there's a part of you that feels frustrated or annoyed or like angsty, or like feels like things are like
Mm.
not in alignment, changing the setting is a really great way to reset that.
Mhm.
And I have a dog, and I ended up getting a sitter, and it is a huge trust flex to leave her. Um, but I think it's really important to exercise that trust.
Yeah.
And then it's also a nice break. Like, I love my morning and evening walks with her. Like, I love the snuggles. And then when I go away, it's like, oh wow, like there's like this extra space,
Yeah.
but it's taken a while to get there. Like, I've had to, let go of that control that we were talking about, of like
Yeah.
wanting things to be just so. And so,
Yeah.
if you're wanting to move through that control grip, it might be a good way to
Yeah. I'm
maybe it's
not,
just
I've never been a traveler. My friends joke, they're like, you don't travel, you just move there. Because I've lived a lot of different places.
that's
Uh,
really funny.
and so, which is very weird too. It's like, I'm kind of like a gypsy. Like I've lived at all these different places and done these different jobs. Um, but I don't like to just travel and go to see something. I'm like, this isn't
Mm,
fun to me. So, but that's me, we're all different. And
mhm.
so that works for me. Put me in a mall anywhere and I am happy. I love a mall with a good food court. I can shop around. I don't necessarily have to spend money, but love to go. And that's home to me. I have memories, maybe because my girlfriends used to meet at the mall and on
Mhm.
Saturday, and as a kid, even my mom would take us to the mall, and uh, that's where I'm one of my happiest places. It's so sad.
That's so
I'd rather
funny.
go to the mall than go to like the Egyptian pyramids, which is weird. I know.
That's really funny.
So sad, pathetic. But
See, I keep my mouth shut here. This is why I keep my
I'm
mouth.
showing again how superficial I am, John.
I have no kids, and when I did have pets, it was a cat, and during that period, it was easy to get somebody to take care of a cat or something like that. But I've
Mhm.
traveled all
Yeah, you're
over,
a
and so
traveler.
so I enjoy that, and I even enjoy like these out of the way places that
Mhm.
aren't tourist traps because.
Yeah.
That's it. But anyway, but I agree with you. It's a great planet. We should see it
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
before the next asteroid comes. You know.
Yeah,
Right.
I just
Right.
I just think it's so important that we are in different countries where we can experience and be a part of different
Different
cultures
cultures.
and languages and cuisine.
Yeah.
And and then we can, I think, better attune to the sneaky ways that we're living by default. I really love this practice of, looking around my home and deciding, like when I pack for each trip, it's like kind of radical, like, oh, I'm going to just select these things to put in a suitcase and I'm going to take it to another place. And then really it's like, oh, this is actually all that I need. And then, for example, when I went to Sardinia, they made me gate check my luggage because it is officially a carry-on. I'm a big advocate of not checking luggage because I am very efficient and don't want to wait for the bag to come. And so they lost my bag. And what I love about instances like this, and this is where it's like perspective shift, right? It's like, okay, so if I had to spend the rest of this trip or even the rest of my days wearing this outfit that I just happen to be traveling in, like,
Yeah.
okay, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And what I really love about that is it really highlights this paradigm shift of it's not doing more or having more or needing to achieve more, but rather like the perspective shift is like, what can I let go of? What is actually necessary? And so I love that in terms of like this time of year because it's such like high craze commercialism. I probably got like 800 emails about Black Friday sales, and it's like it's like I'm like actually like looking around my space, like I'm going to a holiday party tonight, and it's like I'm like using things that I have to bring for the white elephant gift. Like I'm not purchasing something new,
Right.
like I'm looking in my kitchen of like what can I make with the ingredients that I already have. I'm not going to go to the store and buy anything. And so I think it's
Yeah.
so important to highlight like, okay, actually like the purpose of this is just to continually be in the exploration of what feels resonant for each of us, and just wanting to kind of like clear that lens so we're just getting clearer and clearer.
Yeah. And in the US, our country is so diverse and so full of sites and different. That's why I love that I've lived in all the places I've lived in because they've all been very different. And I've experienced the culture and immersed in it because I've lived in these places. And I was explaining to someone who was, her whole adult life, she lived in the same place and her husband were moving. And I said, it's like a new life. It's a whole new life every time you move to someplace.
Mhm.
It's scary. You're leaving your old friends behind, but you can stay in touch. And now with the internet and everything, and travel, you can travel back and forth. But it's like living a new life. And I'm really glad that I've done that. I'm glad that I've had that experience, of living like planting your roots in different places for a significant amount of time. And I think, I think we're all so different, and I love that we all have the choice to do what works for us. Some people, love to travel. My sister is a traveler. I call her, I have to look on Facebook sometimes to see where she is. I'm like, where are you this weekend? Where'd you go this month? Um, and I'm the opposite. I do
Mhm.
not like to travel. I'll pick up and move somewhere. I'll just pick up and move. Okay. I'll move there. That sounds like a great place to live, even without having seen it sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, we're all different, and we
Yeah.
all have to find our. But I think what you're doing is helpful in
Mm.
people understanding they aren't. We don't have to live this cookie cutter life. We don't have to
Yeah.
live the same way everybody else lives.
That's right. Yeah. I think, what I was trying to highlight is wanting everyone to feel empowered, like you're not stuck by circumstance.
Yeah.
I hear a lot like, oh, I'm going to fill in the blank when my kids are out of the house or when I
Right.
retire or when, my aging father is in assisted living or, like there's a lot of like waiting for something in order to do the thing that we want to do. People will say like, oh, like I really want to get back to a yoga practice or a mindfulness practice or like any kind of
Yeah.
movement practice, and I'll hear like, oh, like once I lose these 10 pounds, like then I'll come back. And it's like, if you come back, like
Do
you're
it
going to
now.
lose the 10 pounds. Like it's just,
Right.
so it's like the
Right.
excuse not to do it is actually the reason to do it. But people are like, oh, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible. It's like, well, if you did yoga, then you would be more flexible. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Well,
now, yeah, and you, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Let me, because a lot of people are time constrained too.
right. Hmm.
Uh, what's your favorite nervous system reset practice for people who don't have a lot of time?
Yeah.
yeah.
The best thing, and I'm not the only person that said this, I think this is like widely said, is like put your phone as far away from your head when you're sleeping and use a different kind of alarm clock. It's so sneaky to be in the scroll as you're falling asleep. It's so sneaky to be in the scroll when you're waking up. Get that thing out of your bedroom. If you do one thing for yourself and for your loved ones, that's probably like the most important thing. Because then you are able to actually connect to yourself, your breath, what your intention or like, however you orient like your goals, how you're connecting to whatever faith system you're a part of. And then I really love just tending to practices in the morning that regulate. And so this could be even like a 5 minute something where I tend to my teeth and my face and my nervous system somehow. So what I really love to do is I'll pour a glass of water with lime or ginger. I'll make my coffee. I still haven't looked at my phone. I take my dog for a walk without my phone on me at all. Like it wasn't that long ago where you left your house and you were not
Right.
available, so it's going to be okay. You, I promise. You come back and then it's like, okay, like what do I feel like doing? So for me, it's like I usually like to put on music or just be in wonderment. Like I might like look out to the preserve in my backyard. Sometimes I feel inspired to pick up the guitar, or I might sing, or I might journal a little. I really love an hour runway before sleep and after waking up where I'm not inviting the outside world into where I'm orienting. And this is where I get inspiration, where I'm connected to creativity, where I tend to being calm, at peace. And it's only when I feel really resourced, and usually it's like before I start teaching, usually my first client's at 7:30, I'll just look to see if that particular client has messaged. Anything else is not for that hour. Like if I'm responding to emails before I've resourced, it's like we're just like it's like let's stop doing that. As a culture,
Right.
like we should not be available around the clock. And the more that I know, the more that we assert that, people will understand. It's like, why are we responding to emails like as soon as we wake up? It's not the thing. Why are we looking at the news as soon as we wake up? That is not the thing. It's so deeply destructive. Don't have your TV on around the clock. Don't like have the TV like blaring like news or football or whatever the thing, like stop. Like our inner nature is actually about connecting to nature, the outdoors, or connecting to our furry loved ones or our human loved ones. It's not about like tasks. It's not about being in the technology. It's so pervasive. And so um, it might be sort of surprising my answer, John, but like a lot of it is like what not to do versus like adding more things. And I think that that's really liberating because I think people are like, oh, like what's this one thing that I can do? Or like, what's this pill I can take? Or like, how do I, how do I like stop doing this in almost kind of like a hack kind of way? And it's like, what if you actually on purpose slowed down enough so that you can come back to your center and know how you feel without these outside stimuli trying to hijack you? And then when you come to the message, then I like think of it like you've created a superhero cloak for yourself, and your trigger response is going to dissipate. These like knee-jerk reactions of like have to self-made urgencies, like I can't believe they did that, da da da. Like it's like no, it rolls off your back that much easier,
Mm-hmm.
and you tend to embrace the cosmic giggle in all of it. That like when people get agitated, when people are in that like provocation, they'll actually be sort of guided away from you because you've created a sphere around you that it's like they just psychically know it's like, oh, I'm not welcome here. Great. And I think as a collective we'll be all the more happy for it. You know, it's really, really important. And I think what's so important to recognize is we cannot help but be tapped into the collective energy, right? Like if someone is going through something, we're all going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's so important that we are tapped into this awareness as a collective, because I like think of this like globe, and it's like these like lights that just kind of like sparkle throughout every single country. It's like, oh, like when we're connected in that way, we can't help but light up. And then we're uplifting one another. Then we're in the
Yeah.
practice of connection versus, these distractions that are trying to convince us that it's us versus them, or like what I talked about earlier, like in the judgments and the comparison and the
Yeah.
expectation. It's like that's not real. Actually, it's manufactured. And if it's not real, then actually we can facilitate an orientation to what's happening that feels uplifting. And and that and a lot of it, it's once you know, you can't unknow it. But I do suggest the phone away from the head while you sleep at the very least.
Yeah, that's interesting. I keep mine by my head because I'm always worried of an emergency or something. What if there's an emergency? But I'm not addicted to my phone. My phone goes off all day and I don't check the texts, and it doesn't matter to me. But I don't know if you guys heard a little bit ago, I had an alarm go off on my phone. I set my phone, an alarm go off every day at noon. And I am supposed to stretch, give my
Oh,
dog a hug, because I work from home. So I just don't take lunch. I just work all day. I work past 5. It's hard to walk away from it because I'm like, one more thing. Let me do one more thing. Let me get this done so I don't have to worry about it and I can relax.
right.
But yeah, I have to set my alarm for noon every day so I can, I have to, you clear your eyes are staring at the screen all the time,
Mm-hmm.
hands are
Mm-hmm.
going, and it's just good to get away from it and get back to nature, or just be.
Mm-hmm.
And stretch. I always, take the time to stretch and move my body, and I try to incorporate movement into everything I do, with cleaning. Sometimes I get really moving with the cleaning, mop that floor, so I can burn some calories and get some energy going. But yeah, I feel like if you incorporate stillness into your life, which is what we need more of, is some just stillness, um, or mindfulness, or whatever you want to call it, instead of just constantly go, 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 go. Yeah. Multitask. I'm a huge multitasker because I'm like, then I can relax later. But then there's always one more thing. Wait, one more thing. One more thing. Let me do this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think the multitasking can be helpful, like in a different perspective. It's like habit stacking,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, oh, while I'm brushing my teeth, I could lift a foot and practice my
Yep.
balance. Or, while I'm listening to this podcast, I could be going on a nature walk
Yep.
where you're not diverting attention, but you're coupling things that actually support one another.
Well, that's good to know because I do that all the time. I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, good to know. Okay. Well, this is really interesting and a reminder to all of us that we get too caught up in our lives. And I think travel is wonderful. I mean, I think everybody should travel if they feel up to it and they want to. Because I like to just my travel is on the internet and I look up places. Like if I read something and I hear of a place that I've never heard of before, I look it up and I do some research and I look at the pictures. And to me, that's satisfying. But I feel
Hmm.
like I get the same experience as if you've gone there and you've expanded your mind in some way by seeing, how other people live. Or remember when I left LA, I'd always lived in apartments in LA. And when I left LA and I stayed with my mother in Ohio for a little bit, and she had this laundry chute. So in the bathroom, it's a laundry chute, and you just put your dirty towels in there. And in the basement, there's a big laundry basket that catches them all. This is really silly, but it's like one of those things that I never saw before. In an apartment building, you've got the trash chute, but I never saw a laundry chute before, and I was so excited. So when you travel and yes, so ridiculously silly. But when you travel and you see other things, you see other ways, and it strikes your creativity, and we all become better together. We all grow together and become better together, and expand our minds. It just expands your mind, your
Hmm.
bandwidth. So yeah, I'm a supporter of other people traveling.
Okay.
No, being me.
I'll do the best I can to keep you happy with that.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
I know Veronique will, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah, and then I can hear about your stories. That's like, my sister always tells me about her adventures and what she did and what she saw, and that's good enough for me.
Well, yeah, so after you do how long? A month in Rio?
Oh, I'll just be there for almost 2 weeks.
Okay, only two
Hmm.
weeks. Okay, so after you do
Yeah.
that,
Fun.
and then any other trip or anything, please come back on. Let us know about
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of this and anything else that's new that's part of your plan that you're developing, that you're helping people with, and obviously we'll have the website on underneath
Yeah.
this so that because I have one person in particular I have to have contact you.
Well, what I like on her website, she's got the Shine On and Off the Mat book, but
Yeah,
it's an interactive guide, and you do interactive things with it. So for people that are wanting to get more involved in this, I really
right.
recommend that because I think that's a good place to start.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a couple opportunities if you did want to connect in person. I'm invited to teach a 5-day workshop in Rhinebeck, New York at the
Okay.
Omega Institute. It's a gorgeous 275-acre
Mm.
property that is very phenomenal. It has hosted storied authors and leaders and teachers from around the world since 1977. And so I have this opportunity to teach this 5-day workshop, which will be very much about incorporating these kind of longevity practices that you can integrate into your everyday life. And that will be May 31st until June 5th of 2026.
Okay.
And then I am leading a retreat in Italy next October. So if you want to travel and have a beautiful 7 days on the east coast of Italy, it'll be a really phenomenal way to incorporate really good food and nice movement practice. We always choose excursions and different things during the day so that you can really immerse in the culture and explore in a way that nourishes. And then of course if you're craving more stillness, you can just be in stillness in the afternoons. And we have a really nice bookended practice of a more energetic yoga in the morning and more therapeutic stretching practice in the afternoon. And everyone's welcome. Like sometimes I'll get feedback like, oh, like I'm not really a yogi, or like, oh, like I'm not a teacher. It's for everyone. You know, we've had people that have never done yoga before. We've had people who they're like, well, I just really like Pilates, or sometimes, you know, people will come like mother daughter, or like maybe
Oh,
like
great.
or maybe like, you know, one person in the couple likes yoga and they bring their like husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend to join. And people, I think, don't realize like, oh, it's actually about harnessing community. And the best part is, you know, around the table sharing food and connecting stories and just like finding out about each other's lives and what people are about and what they're wanting. And so people really love that. And so they come time and time again. And so if you've been wanting community and connection, it's a really great way to join in that way. And then we have the Shine membership if you don't want to travel. And then you create the retreat from wherever you are. So that was why that was born. It was like you could,
Yeah.
you know, create almost like this on Zoom or like whatever platform you like.
Yeah.
And it could be like, oh, hey, John, do you want to talk about like what it is that you're letting go before the end of the year tomorrow at 11, and we could like get on a call and like be in the conversation. And maybe it's like I feel like walking, or maybe I'll like take it out to the park, or maybe I'll just be stretching on the floor, so that like as you're in the conversation we multitask, or we habit stack the movement and that connection. And so that's the integration in the Shine membership, where it's coupling the movement with the connection. And so that's a really great way to come in if you've been kind of on the outskirts, like like I kind of feel like I want something but I'm not sure. And there's a 7-day free trial there, so like no pressure, no commitment. Like you can just come in and try it out and see, you know,
That's
if it
right.
resonates for you. And would love to have you be a part
Yeah.
of it.
I'm looking on your website. That's what I'm scrolling through. And so, yeah, I see your membership. Is that what you're talking about? The membership.
Exactly.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. You could practice with your dog.
Yeah, she always has to be part of everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. Well, for me, I've questioned myself before, and I think I've even talked to John about it. Why do I want to do a podcast? I mean, I always say if John ever says, I don't know if I can do it this day, or I don't know if I can do this, I'm like, John, nobody's paying us. So we can do whatever we want. It's not for money. We're not doing this for money. And I always ask, well, why do I want to do this then? I think it's because I really just like interacting with other people that I wouldn't know otherwise, and
Exactly.
learning new
Exactly.
things, and, just another great experience in life.
And I do it because either I know or people we know people who
Yeah.
have something interesting
Yep.
to get out to other people.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I want people I know to know about
Yep.
these things. This is
Yeah.
this is a wonderful thing.
Yep.
So, that's why we do it. What do we do?
Yeah. Well, to
We
give people a platform so that they can
yeah, yeah,
share with our
absolutely.
friends, our
And
audience.
other
Yep.
people to be entertained
Yep.
or
Learn something.
to learn something from
Yeah.
this. But anyway, okay, that's
Yep.
it. This
Yeah.
was great. Thank
Yes.
you
And you have
very,
shared
very
much.
much.
Thank you. Yes.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank you
So,
Veronica.
so much.
okay, Kelly, take us out.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And we will see you again, and let us know about your travels. And we want to hear stories. So the next time. Until then. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Take care.
Veronique. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
All views expressed in this video belong to Kelly Nicholson, John D'Amore, and guests. These discussions do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which they have been affiliated now or will be in the future. The opinions expressed are solely theirs, and since they are critically thinking human beings, these views are subject to change, subject to revision, and subject to rethinking at any time. These conversations are not meant to be taken as advice and are only for the purpose of entertainment. All statements may be based on hearsay and not necessarily valid proof of any claims in this video. It is not our intention to teach or advise on any topic. Unless otherwise noted, all photos are public domain. Thanks for watching A Slice of Life with Kellie and John.